This is Laura and Steve Cox. We're at the Bonita Museum on June 8th, 2026, and they're here to talk about the Orange Crate Derby.
Yes.
So first, just tell me a little bit about how you came to Bonita, when you came to Bonita, and a little about your family.
We moved in 1994. Yeah, we moved into, we were living in Bonita in 1992 and moved back to San Diego in 1994, and then back to Bonita in 96 when I got a job that would pay the bills.
Yeah, he was retired Navy, so.
So
that's
yeah,
why
I was on active duty in the Navy until 1994,
Uh-huh.
and we were living in Corral Canyon at that time. Retired, and we moved back to San Diego because I didn't have a job. And then we sold our house in San Diego and moved to Rancho Del Rey 29 years ago.
Okay.
So 97 we came back.
Nice.
Kind of got involved. Oh well, we have 4 children. Jason is our oldest, and Sean, and Aaron, and Maureen,
Yeah.
and you can talk too. So Sean is the one that we'll talk about the most today because he was involved in the Orange Crate Derby as a kid, and then by a quirk of fate, the car that he raced in his last Orange Crate Derby ended up being available when he was shopping for cars to remodel, and one of them became one of the cars in his stable. And I was surprised because I hadn't realized that, but when they were racing one time, but his new group, I saw the cars are numbered sequentially from when they're registered. So car number 1 is car number 1 for the entire life of the Derby. And he was in whatever car number it was, I don't remember now, but I kept thinking, I've seen that car number before. And then I dug up an old picture at the time, and I'm like, oh, that was a car he raced in. So that was a big surprise to me. And but anyway.
Yeah, and he's very artistic.
Uh-huh.
And so when he did the first car he did for his oldest son, he was the boy was into gold mining. That's all he talked about was gold mining. So he painted a car and called it a gold miner car. So that's what he rode.
Yeah, he actually built that car from scratch. So
Uh-huh.
the Orange Crate Derby would give you, you could get the plans from them if you wanted to build your own car.
Okay.
Or you could go, because they would have a stock of them that they would sell. It was another way for them to make money. So you'd buy the car and then redo it, and then you don't have any place to give it, just give it back. And then the next year you could buy it again. It was kind of like, instead of paying rent or whatever, just buy the car again. So, but anyway, that first year he decided he'd build his own car, and it was a cute little car. And he called it Gold Miner. I think.
And what year you think that was?
That would have
Gold
been
Miner car.
2017.
Okay.
And yeah, 2017, and it was car number 60.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it was the 60th car that got put in the thing. After he got that one built, and we, I don't know where he stored that car that first year.
Might have been at the station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do remember that he wasn't able to be there for the whole race, and so one of the things that happens is that we're skipping around. I hate to say
That's
that.
okay. We can go backwards. So we can
Yeah.
start with this one and then go back.
Okay.
They will issue you a set of wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody's angling, all the guys are trying to angle for the fastest wheels for this, so their car can win. So he got a set of wheels and whatever, and his son took the car and started to go down the hill and steered it right into the curb and bent the axle. And so that was great. So the car's like kind of limping down the road. So he sent me to get a new bar to use for the axle. And he's the mechanic, I'm not. But I managed to get the right thing, but then he couldn't be around, and next thing I know, they're asking me to actually do some work, which was a bad thing. But I did manage to do it without messing up too bad, and then he was able to come back and fix all my mistakes. But that was my big mechanical adventure in terms of the Orange Grade Derby. But
And that was in, you said 2017?
yeah, pretty sure.
And then then Sean got the bug.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So then he built 4 more.
Oh, wow.
So he built one that looked like a old-fashioned fire truck, so it was red. And then he built one that looked
And these he
like,
built all from the ground. He didn't buy
No,
them.
he
he
bought
bought
them.
these.
Oh, he
So
bought
he
them
went
and then he
back and
did
started buying them because it was easier just to buy the car.
And they were all pretty much the same, or did they have to be the same? How
They
did
had to
that
be kind of the same.
work? Yeah, within certain parameters.
Yeah, they had a maximum weight limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things most of us would think about was, if the car's heavier, it might go down the hill a little
maybe
faster.
if we feed our kid a lot more.
Yeah,
Have a
how do
big
we get
meal.
this, how can we win? So the kids only cared about, how many times do I get to go down the hill?
Right.
And the dads are all going, how do I win this thing? And and that's the way the whole day would go, 2 days of it.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, he built that one from scratch, spent enough money on it that turned out it was cheaper to pay $50 and buy a car and then do whatever you want to with it.
Right.
Than to buy all that wood. And then the other thing was they were pretty picky about how it was put together because it's kids going down the hill.
Yeah.
So if you didn't pass, you did all that work on a car and then you couldn't use it.
Oh, yeah.
So he bought cars. That's how he ended up with one of the car that he drove and part of his stable of cars. But he is really artistic.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. He did the fire truck and then a highway patrol car. And then he did a U.S. Forest Service advertisement,
Yeah.
which was pretty colorful. And then the last one was a Greyhound bus.
So he had these cool names for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
His son did the gold miner. And then the highway patrol was called Hot Pursuit. So they always announce as they're going down the hill, and Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And the kids riding Hot Pursuit. And then there was, I don't know what they call the fire truck. Just a fire truck?
No, I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay. The forest one was a Smokey.
Yeah.
And Sean would come and bring one of his people dressed as Smokey the Bear as part of the thing so that he could go around and greet with everybody. He's pretty good at this.
So how old was your grandson? I mean, how old did the kids need to be?
I think it was 8 to 14.
Oh, okay. So there was an age limit. Was
Yeah.
there a weight limit? Did you want to get the bigger kids to go down?
There wasn't really a weight limit because like Sean he was 13. It was 13. If you were 14, you couldn't race. So
Yeah.
it had to be.
And he was a big boy, so then he looked kind of goofy at that first.
Yeah, he
that
didn't
year
really
went, he's like,
wasn't real comfortable his last year racing because he was husky, and he didn't look like he was little, but he raced anyway. And I'm looking at the pictures that I have. There's some big kids,
Yeah.
but most of them were just little ones, and they did them in age categories.
Yeah.
So 12s and 13s raced each other, and
Yeah.
6 to 10, and
Yeah.
so there were like 3 different age groups, I think,
Yeah.
that they did. Because a big part to me of the race was being able to steer the car
yeah.
more than anything else. Being able to steer the car and then not being afraid going down the hill. Because a lot of kids, they'd start down the hill and they'd be like, oh, slam on the brakes, and the car is just creeping down the hill, which was fine because they were comfortable, but you weren't going to win a race. You weren't
Right.
going to win a race on the brakes.
Yeah, and at the end, they had hay bales, so
Oh, so the kids were right into the hay.
so you could
Well, we didn't
slow
want
down.
them, if they did not slow down, that they would slow down at the hay bale.
Yeah.
So that the hill was, I don't know, it's a nice hill. And then at the bottom, it just kind of sloped down.
Yeah.
So the hay bales were on a semi-level portion of the hill, so the car was going to naturally slow down before it got there.
So
they
it
wouldn't.
didn't hit the hay bales very often.
No, not
But
that
once in
often.
a while,
That's once in a while.
I hit the hay bales and went through the hay bales. There they're
They
going.
knocked those things out of the way. They tried to make the kids apply the brake. So if you put the brake on as you pass the finish line, the car would stop long before you got to the hay bale.
Right.
Some kids were very anxious about that, so they'd slam on the brakes like when they saw the finish line. And
Then
then,
they get past as they
yeah, and other kids were like, I'm gonna win no matter what, and I wanna crash anyway, so they'd go screaming past the finish line. And then some of them would slam on the brake and then turn the wheels. The wheels would only turn like this much. They
Yeah.
wouldn't hardly turn at all. But when you're stepping on the brake and you turn the wheel as much as you can, the cars would tend to
Yeah.
do this big skid at the bottom, and kids thought that was a lot of fun too. But all of that stuff would screw up the wheels,
Oh.
which the kids didn't care. It's
Because
just
the
that-
wheels you gave, you had to give back, right? Because they were like regulation wheels you get and then you.
Yeah,
give
they were
back.
they weren't, you could buy the same wheels at the
Mm-hmm.
store, but you couldn't race with the wheels you bought.
Oh.
Everybody got a set of race wheels.
Uh-huh.
And so then you got those, you got those from the race organizers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your set of wheels. And then you had to bring those back afterwards.
Yeah.
That was to try to give some kind of parity, because everybody
Yeah.
believed that the wheels were the key.
Right.
And,
And what would they do to the wheels?
oh, man. So the kids just wanted to ride the cars. And so as many rides as they could get, they were happy. The dads wanted to win, so wheels, everybody had a different theory, and every guy that was there in a pit crew applied their theory, so that you were issued a can of WD-40, and that was it. And you weren't supposed to monkey with them with anything other than WD-40, so they would come up with ways they thought that would make the WD-40 work better, or, but everybody had a different idea of how to make them work, so.
That's fun.
So tell me, you said Sean did this race when he was a boy. So
Yeah.
were you involved with that, and what year was that? Can you tell me about that experience?
Sure, when, 14, so it would have been 91. And they were racing in Rancho Del Rey.
No,
Was it in
they
Briarwood
were
at
on
91?
Briarwood.
Man, it doesn't seem like it to
Yeah,
me,
he
but
was on
anyway.
Briarwood.
Yeah, I'll find out when they transferred. I know it was right around there, I think.
Yeah, but I think he was on Briarwood. We didn't do Rancho Del Rey till we did the grandkids. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember Briarwood, to be honest with you.
Oh.
But I just know that I was in a men's group at church,
Uh-huh.
and we sponsored like 3 or 5 cars. And
And the church was was Corpus Christi.
it was Corpus Christi.
Oh, yeah, up on Corral Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so so the Orange Creek Derby is 2 days long. So we get there at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to get the cars ready.
Uh-huh.
The kids would stroll in at 8:30, whenever, yeah, I'm here. But we'd have to get the cars ready so that they could be inspected, and then they could race. And then what they do is they let them do practice racing on Saturday. And then the real racing was on Sunday.
Yeah.
And but we got there, I was just like part of a giant pit crew. And that's when I found out that the kids didn't care about winning, but the adults did. And so that was a lot of discussion in our group of guys about how to make these cars go faster. And it all centered around the proper greasing of the wheels. And that's what we were all out there rooting for them to win. And all the people that were watching were just rooting for them to get down the hill in one piece.
Yeah.
But we all had a good time. It was fun for us because it was something we were doing with our kids.
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity for the dads to hang out with their sons or daughters, because all the girls were racing too.
Yeah, our daughters raced.
But the pit crews are mostly just dads. Not a lot of moms in the pit crews. There are a few.
We're the cheerleaders on the side.
Yeah, there were a few, but mostly it was dads taking a break from, say, August. That would have been baseball. We're taking a break from baseball in order to do Orange Crate Derby.
Yeah.
And that was, we did it, and then Sean aged out, and then our two girls raced a couple more years.
And did you use the same car, or did you end up giving it back and getting a new car every year?
We ended up going with a different racing club, I think. We ended up just registering, and then they would have, hey, if you need a car, then you can be part of car 22 or car. So there were spots open for different cars, and so you could put if your child was in the right age category to get into that particular car, then you could do that. So
the same car could be in every age category.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, that makes sense.
As long as there was enough time to get the car back up the hill. That was the biggest thing. And so they were, and I don't know how they scheduled, Bob would be the guy that knew that part, but they had this very, very elaborate schedule for age groups and times, and so these guys would race, and then the next group would race, and then these guys would race, and so everybody's racing so that nobody gets stuck being bored.
Right.
And so if you could have a car pretty much in every age group, but only if you had enough time. Well, you'd had to make the time to.
That schedule had to be such that they could
You could get them
car.
back up the hill.
So tell me about like the whole day, like from the beginning, like you talked about going and being the pit crew early in the morning, and tell me how the whole thing went, like the start line and the end, like how that all worked. And I want you to tell me about how the kid, getting the car back up the hill. Tell me all about that.
Okay, so we start with you bring the car, and then
After preparing it beforehand, you're working on the car for months, possibly beforehand.
possibly, yeah. So then you bring the car there on the pre-race day, and all the cars get inspected. And the inspection is, two of the guys from the race would take your car, and they have to be able to pick it up. That was the weight check. So they have to pick it up and put it on a stand, and then make sure that the brake was built according to their directions.
Right, because that was a safety.
That was a safety thing, and it was just a paddle on the back with a big piece of tire on it. And when you stepped on the brake, this thing would just go down, hit the ground. That was part of Sean's problem that first year, is that brake didn't touch like it was supposed to. And then, then the suspension broke on it too. But anyway, that was the biggest thing, is that the thing had to hit the ground, and so they could stop the car. And then there were certain design parts. So because it's an Orange Crate Derby, the car, basically the front of the car was this big rectangular block, like an orange crate.
Yeah.
The back could be tapered, like the car that Sean built, the back of the first car was kind of tapered. But by and large, there was two orange crates with a seat in the middle.
Yeah.
And this thing, the frame that it sat on was all 2x4s. So they would inspect it, and then we get it back, and then the dads would start working in earnest and we'd get your wheels. And then after you got your race wheels, you roll it over, pull your training wheel, your transportation wheels off, put the racing wheels on. And then it was, there was a schedule that was posted of when your races were, so that you know where you were in the order. And so they called whatever race it was, and if you knew you were following somebody, then it was go over there and get in line. So we'd end up with these two lines of cars behind the starting block. And so and it was on a slope, so we'd roll the car down to the starting gate, and then when it was time, they would pick the cars up and put them in the starting block.
And it was like
It's like a ramp, right?
It was a ramp with a I don't know, some kind of a cross member in the front that was, it was a ramp too, but it would stay up, and the car would sit there, and the wheels would sit against this thing. And then there was a Christmas tree in the front, and it would go red, yellow, whatever, all the different colors, and then get down. I think it was a 5-light tree, so the last light was green, and when the green light came on, they hit, the starter would hit a button, and this ramp would drop, and the cars would
So it was
get
just
going.
2 at a time?
Just 2 at a time.
Two.
Like a drag race. That's what the Christmas tree was kind of like at a drag race.
Yeah.
And then boom, you start going down the hill, and then
And
the
the
fun,
kids would be going like
the fun
this,
would
trying
begin.
to make it go faster.
they'd be doing that, or they'd be, all you'd see is a head, because they're trying to lower
And they
the
had
profile.
helmets on.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
all had helmets on, of various design, some bicycle helmets, some different kinds of helmets. Our grandson wore his dad's hard hat from the fire station. The other grandson wore a bicycle helmet that he had put like a mohawk thing sticking up around the middle of it. But they would wear whatever they could, but it had to be some kind of head protection. And then you'd watch them race down the hill, and some of them would, the key to winning the race actually is to be able to steer the car straight. But for a lot of them, it was, if I have a steering wheel, I'm going to turn it. So you'd see the car going like this, or you'd see the car go and right into a curb. And we used one traffic lane. Did we use it? No, we used both lanes, because they set up cones along the double yellow lines on the road. And then one car was on one side and one was on the other. And that gave them the most maneuvering room going down the hill.
They wouldn't hit each other.
So, and then the course itself was straight all the way to the finish. And when you look at it from a child's perspective, it looked like a real long way, but it was probably maybe 1/10 of a mile. But it does look like a long way when you're sitting in that little car. But then at the bottom, you hit the finish line, and then the road started, it bottomed out and it turned. So at that point in time, you really had to steer the car when you stepped on the brake. And then at the bottom was either a parent, or on race day, or whenever those high school kids showed up, they would use teams from Bonita Vista High School. So, like, I think the water polo team did it one year. I remember them. Now, it was whoever wanted to raise some money, and we would buy a bunch of tickets. So they would sell us tickets for like $1 a piece. And then the kids, when they got finished with the race, you had to make sure they had a ticket when they started the race. Get to the bottom, the high school kids would come over,
Here's my ticket.
here's my ticket. And
Pull
then
it
the
up.
high school kids would take the car, and they have to pick it up out of the street and put it on a sidewalk. And then they push it up the hill. I picked them up and pushed them, and it was a lot of work. And I was more than happy to buy tickets after I did it a few times. And then they'd get the car up the hill, and then whoever the next racer was in that car would be like, I gotta get over here. And then they go back and get in line with the new person, and then when their race would come up, and they just run them. And it was
All day.
All day. It was like a double elimination. So if you lost twice, you were done. And the race, everybody was guaranteed 2 rides down the hill. That was the goal. So, but once we were on Saturday, you could ride down the hill as many times as
So
anybody
Saturday was
else.
just practice day. You just go and just practice.
Practice.
Kids would just play in their cars and hopefully not wreck them before Sunday.
That's right. And most of us were trying to like, come on, let's just, and so and I forgot about that part, but, so Saturday they practice, and then after everybody was done and nobody wanted to ride anymore, then we'd leave the cars on the street.
Oh, just leave them.
We'd leave them there. They would have a security guy that would guard the cars all night.
Yeah.
And then we'd come back in the morning and start over again.
Yeah, just check the camera quick.
See how we're doing. Okay, we got a few minutes. So, so tell me about who ran the races? Like how many officials did they have? And I know that they had other people like they had refreshments going on. What was it? What was the scene like being there for 2 days?
So I guess it was the Rotary that ran it. I didn't know. I thought it was the Lions Club, but
I think the Rotary took over, but maybe the Lions Club was earlier. I don't know.
everybody, somebody ran it. I must have been the Rotary. So I remember looking at one of the pictures, and it was one of the pictures I took had a sign for the Rotary Club.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got a feeling that they were the ones. But
Yeah.
so they have this big van. Was it a van? A trailer, and they had some equipment repair parts in there. They could carry some of the cars, but the operation ran out of there. They had someone who was really good on a computer, and they managed the race day. They arranged the races. They did all that stuff, and then they would use a whiteboard with a pen, and they'd mark. The computer person would say, "Okay, these are the next bunch of races," and then they would. The timing was electronic, so when you were down the hill and you won it based on when you crossed the finish line, and they knew who was the winner in the car as soon as that happened. So there wasn't anybody at the bottom going lane 1, lane 2. And
Yeah.
it was, and then they
It's all
have,
automated.
they bring some, usually you had somebody who had a good radio voice who volunteered to be the announcer. I think they actually had a radio personality.
That was really good though.
But he would announce the race, including, that's why we had to name the cars. So it was just like the horse races. You got to give your car a name that was like, so I remember one of the cars was called Terminator. And a lot of times I think the kids picked the names. But like with my son, he was like, I'm making the car, I'm going to make the name go like. So when the race was in progress, then this announcer would go, oh, and ride the dog is ahead by a nose, and then he'd
They'd
call the
comment
race,
all the way down.
and then the race would end, and he'd announce the winner, and it was and the light would light up on the somewhere too. I think I remember something where even down the hill I could tell who won as soon as the race was over with, looking up the hill. But the people that ran it were great. They would just there must have been like 15 or 20 volunteers
Oh, wow.
just to run the race.
Wow.
And so you had a guy in the starting block, had 2 people on each side to pick the cars up and put them in. I had a lot of other people running around doing this and doing that. There's always be a big crowd of people on the right side of the starting line because that's where all the action was happening.
Yeah.
For.
Okay, here we are, part 2.
Okay,
Okay, so you were talking about the volunteers.
right. They were, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
Because they had to, it took them basically a whole year to set up the race.
Really?
So they had to get permits, they had to print shirts, they had to do all this different stuff, put out applications, and then process all that stuff. when
And there was a
people
fee to
sent it in.
enter, I'm
There
sure.
was a fee. It wasn't very much. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't anything. And sometimes, like when I was with the men's group from church, we paid some of that. Just
Yeah.
went ahead and so we wanted them to race. So
You
we,
wanted to sponsor the kids.
yeah. So if they didn't have, if they didn't have any money, then we took care of it. In 2019, our son brought 5 cars. He got carried away, and he knew guys in the Forest Service, and then I think some guys from the Border Patrol, and some other federal law enforcement people. These guys all kind of knew each other, and they all had kids that were young. So he had like he had like 15 kids racing in 4 cars,
And
5
they
cars.
set up these little pup tent things.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
everybody
so
would
that
have
you
an
can-
easy up,
Yeah. so
Yeah.
they
and
can
you'd put up
shade.
your thing, and and that was your
Yeah.
pit.
Yeah.
And it was, and that's what they call it, it was pit row on either side of the street. So everybody's cars were in a different place, and if there was a lull in the action, you'd see the dads pop the cars up, and we'd bring 5-gallon paint buckets, and 2 paint buckets,
You pop
put the
them
car on the paint bucket, and then do the work that needed to be done, or stand the car up on its end, because both ends were flat. But most of the work would sit on a paint bucket, and then we'd do what had to be done, and then, which was usually lubricate the wheels religiously. And it was kind of a party. Food-wise, though, I think we all brought our own
Yeah.
stuff. They didn't really sell anything there.
Yeah.
They had, the only real fundraising they did at the event was if they had leftover T-shirts.
Oh,
They would sell off all the T-shirts because they didn't want to take them back.
yeah,
And but if you were a contestant, part of your entry fee got you a Orange Crate Derby
yeah. Was
T-shirt.
it a kid t-shirt or adult or both?
It were kids' T-shirts because they were kids,
Uh-huh.
and then they weren't stupid. They went ahead and bought like bunch of adult shirts, and then all the guys would have to go have our Orange Crate shirts.
You have to go buy a new shirt.
Yeah, I don't remember how many I have. But I had a few, and they got used religiously. Became the yard work shirts after the races. But it was fun because it had an orange crate on the front, and
Yeah.
then it would have the year, I think.
Yeah, it did.
And,
But I don't know of any other place that does Orange Crate Derbies. I haven't heard of any place.
The history page said that the Chula Vista did it before Bonita did.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if that one ever lasted, but apparently in the 60s, the Chula Vista
Oh,
did it.
okay, okay.
So that's all
Yeah,
I
so
heard.
it was, and then it wasn't, then it became again, and
Yeah.
then with COVID was the end of it. It never came back after 2019.
Yeah, yeah. So what were the rules of competition? It was basically like the car had certain standards.
Win or go home. That was it. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. You had, the rules were the cars had to meet their specifications before you could race them, and then the kids had to be at the right age. And that was honor system. They weren't like,
Oh, they weren't weighing kids or looking at
no,
birth certificates
no,
or
we didn't
anything.
weigh them, didn't look at birth certificate. It was like, you're 13? Yep. Okay, you can race. But the cars are built for little people.
Yeah,
So a big 13-year-old at some point in time is not going to fit in that car.
yeah.
And a 16-year-old, no way.
For sure, no.
That's why they built the adult cars for the adults to try them out, because they're built so that you can actually get in them. But from the seat to the brake pedal, it's real short. It's really short if you're an adult.
Yeah,
And then you have to be able to, and where the steering wheel is, and that's an orange crate. So, you could get in one, you could get in a kid's size car, but you'd never be able to get your feet underneath to
Right.
get to the brakes. So, if you were a really tall 13-year-old, you weren't going to be able to race.
so they built adult ones.
Yes.
The organizers had, and how did that work?
So they would, we race in the morning.
The kids?
The
or
kids,
yeah.
the races are in the morning, everybody gets their 2 rides in the morning. And then then in the afternoon, there'll be the racing for the championship. But during the lunch break, people go and have lunch or just work on the cars if you're the guys. But they'd drag out these 2 adult-sized cars that they had, and then they would offer up $10 a ride. So people could either ride solo, or they could
Race their friend? or
race
whatever.
somebody.
Yeah.
One lady, I remember her, she raced her son. So she used the adult car and he used the kid car. They raced down the hill. So it was whatever. Some years there were a lot of adults that wanted to ride. Some years it was like not that much interest, but but no, $10. It was money well spent. It was,
To go down the hill.
yeah.
And tell me about how they do the winners. Like, would they get a trophy? Like, what were the prizes?
Oh, yeah, trophies.
Yeah, first and
First, second, and third
third,
kid.
they
get a
got
trophy.
trophies.
Yeah.
And then a lot of kids got a medal.
Like runners up or whatever. Oh, at every age category, they'd have 3 trophies then.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of trophies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they had there was always somebody that was the overall winner because they
right.
were so fast.
Right.
But basically it was every age category had a set of winners. And we'd do a award ceremony at the end.
Yeah.
And then and everybody's antsy to go home by that point in time. And then all of the participants, we'd all pack up our stuff and leave, and then the volunteers were left to do the cleanup.
So did they take the cars and store them until someone bought them the next year? So did the organizers generally store them, or
Yeah,
if people didn't want to take them home?
The organizers, yeah, so if you didn't want your car, they would take them and store them. But then if you wanted that car back, you're gonna have to buy it back.
Yeah, because they paid to store it all year.
And I think that the storage was covered at the storage place, but now that's when they started to say, well, we're holding it and they're not even having it, so. we want us
Oh,
to
did they get
kind
donated storage space or something?
They did, and
Oh,
I
I
don't know
see.
if they still do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they would have a ton of cars. I never saw the storage unit, so, but they seemed like they had plenty of cars to offer for people if they wanted to just get one of their cars.
Yeah.
So that was the thing, when you'd sign up, you could either buy one of their cars and then you'd have it exclusively, or you could glom on to somebody that had a car.
Sign up for another car.
And
group.
just race in a car that was there. And then, or you could bring your own. So,
Do you remember any crashes or injuries? You said your grandson crashed and bent the axle.
yeah, that was the worst. I never saw any,
No, there was one that last year that I think they went into the hay, and I don't know if they whacked another car or something, but it was kind of, everybody had to stop for a while to see that child was
yeah, they
okay.
thought somebody got hurt.
Yeah.
But you never saw any injuries?
No, the biggest injury would have been the parent falling down, running down the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, some kids hit that hay bale, and I'm talking like a full-size hay bale,
Yeah.
and they'd hit it hard enough to move the hay. That was kind of scary. And then there were a few curb crashers. But by and large, I mean, it was pretty hard to hurt yourself in the car.
Yeah.
You really had to try. I mean, you really had to try. And the first couple of times, so that's what Saturday was about.
Yeah.
So Saturday was about just pure fun. For the kids that knew how to drive, it was nothing but fun. And for the kids that had no idea what was going on, it was like, get over being scared and then find out that, hey, this isn't that bad, it's fun.
Yeah.
And how to steer it. They needed to learn how to steer and how to stop, and there was no place to learn that
Yeah.
except on the hill. So sometimes they put a little one in a car and then push them along and go, okay, turn the wheel, do whatever. But by and large, it was get in the car on the ramp, and you'll find out here in just a second how it works. And everybody did fine
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. Hardly anybody stepped on the brakes during the races.
Right.
But there were a few that were little grandmas going down the hills. And then on race day, we did have some curb crashes
Yeah.
because they just got carried away.
So what was your favorite memory from your participation and your son's participation?
Mine was 2019 when my son got carried away with building
Yeah.
cars. It was just fun. It was just it was like the most fun weekend that I had that year, probably.
It's all family time. It's totally on your family, and the family's building relationships with other families that are next to you, and it's a very, very great community
So
builder.
I didn't work in the pit, I was taking pictures. But my son had all his buddies from all the different federal agencies working for him. But I was running up and down the hill taking photos, and both sides were lined with people, parents, who are trying to find a place to watch.
Grandparents and have their
And,
chairs, and it's fun.
You know, so you stand around talking to people that you'd never seen before, but we all had a common interest.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is a lot of fun. And the only time anything negative ever came up would be when some adult stepped in the street, and then the announcer had to say, please get out of the street.
Yeah, because they want to take a picture. But,
Oh, they would get
can't
take a
be
picture.
in the street while
Yeah, so
they're
you
racing.
could stand on the curb and take a picture, but don't stand in the gutter, because you were fair game if the car, would clip you.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't start the race if there was somebody over the curb.
Yeah.
So that was, there was a lot of people keeping an eye on that part. But it was just a lot of fun. Everybody was just having a good old time. It was hot as can
Yes.
be.
Yeah.
Because it was in August.
Seemed like it was always
Really
be a
hot.
Santa Ana that weekend. And so it would start real cool, and then, boy, by Sunday afternoon, we're all like dying.
Yeah.
But even with that, it was kind of like a block party without food,
Yeah.
so.
Anything else you want to add before we end?
Wish it would come back.
Yeah.
I ask around, does anybody know any community, any type of facility that would like to take it over?
Yeah.
Because it's such a benefit for children now who only do the computer and do their phone, to do something that's family building, and it's outdoors, and it's community building.
It's with your
I
hands.
would love to see
Build
it
this
come
up with
back.
your hands.
I really would.
Yeah, I think it's really special that the kids get to spend time with their parents, especially with dads who seem to be the more distant half of the food chart. But they have a chance to actually do something with them. There's just a lot of time that they would spend, because like the dads would be working on the car, and the kid's standing right there, like, what if you do this, Dad, or whatever, and you're like, kind of getting grumpy about that part, but it's still like, you're working together on a common project.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Oh,
Sure.